Seoul shivers under a November night in 2014. Its streets slick with rain that falls in sheets. A relentless downpour that mirrors the storm raging inside Min Yoongi. He's 21 now, a trainee turned rapper, a member of BTS, a group that's teetering on the edge of obscurity. Their name whispered more in hope than fame. The city's neon lights bleed into the puddles, casting jagged reflections of red and blue that shimmer like broken dreams. And Yoongi trudges through them, his hoodie soaked through, his sneakers squelching with every step. He's alone tonight, the dorm left behind in a haze of exhaustion and unspoken tension. The other members' voices, Namjoon's lectures, Taehyung's laughter, Jungkook's humming, fading into a silence he can't escape. He's not heading anywhere, not really, just walking, running from something he can't name, something that's been clawing at him for months, something that whispers in the dark, "Give up, you're nothing. This isn't worth it." The air bites with a chill that seeps into his bones, but it's nothing compared to the cold inside him, a frost that's grown from years of anger, from a world that's never cared, from a dream that feels more like a noose with every passing day. Suga, as the world will come to know him, is a name he's still carving. But tonight, he's just Yoongi, a boy on the brink, his rapper soul trembling at the edge of surrender. In Suchwita, episode 19, years later in April 2024, he'd confess to this darkness, his voice a gravelly whisper. "I was so full of anger and rage. I wanted to quit music altogether. That rage, that despair, is a shadow that follows him now. A shadow he'll face in a rain-soaked alley, in front of a cracked mirror that reflects not just his face, but the bitter memory of his darkest night. A memory that will shape the rapper fans adore. A memory that will make them proud of the man who fell but rose again." Yoongi turns into a narrow alley off Gangnam, the kind of place where the city hides its scars. Graffiti-smeared walls, overflowing dumpsters, a flickering street lamp that buzzes like a dying insect. The rain is louder here, a drumbeat against the pavement, drowning out the hum of Seoul's endless pulse. He stops, his breath ragged, and leans against a wall, the brick rough against his palm, the cold seeping through his hoodie. In front of him, propped against a dumpster, is a mirror, discarded, cracked, its edges jagged like teeth, its surface streaked with grime and water. He sees himself in it, a distorted figure in the dim light, eyes hollow, cheeks gaunt, hair plastered to his forehead, a boy who looks more ghost than man. The reflection is a stranger, a shadow of the rapper he's supposed to be, and the sight of it ignites something inside him. Anger, yes, but also despair. A weight that's been building since Daegu, since the crash, since the dorm nights when he felt like a stranger among brothers. He steps closer, the mirror pulling him in like a magnet, and the rain runs down its surface in rivulets, warping his reflection further. "What are you doing?" he mutters to himself, voice low, raw, swallowed by the storm. The words are a challenge, a plea, a scream he's held back for too long. He's been angry for years, at the world for its unfairness, at the industry for its cruelty, at himself for not being enough. BTS is struggling, their early albums barely making a dent, their performances met with half-empty rooms, their dreams mocked by those who see them as nothing more than kids playing at stardom. Yoongi has poured everything into this, his body broken by the crash, his heart bruised by rejection, his soul carved out in lyrics that no one seems to hear. And for what? Nights like this, walking through a city that doesn't care, staring at a reflection that spits back his failure. The mirror shows more than his face. It shows the shadows of his past, the bitter memories that have piled up like bricks on his chest. He sees Daegu, the coin that fell in the alley, the weight of a dream he couldn't afford. He sees the audition, the borrowed mic, the judge's smirks that cut deeper than any blade. He sees the dorm, the silence of strangers who are now his brothers, the loneliness that still lingers in the spaces between their laughter. And he sees the past year, the endless practices, the sleepless nights, the hunger that gnaws at his stomach because they can't afford more than instant ramen, the whispers of doubt that grow louder with every empty seat at their shows. "I'm done," he whispers, the words slipping out before he can stop them, and they hang in the air, heavy, final, a confession he's never dared to voice. He punches the mirror, not hard, not enough to shatter it, but enough to make his knuckles sting, enough to make the reflection tremble. The crack in the glass widens, splitting his face in two, and he stares at it, chest heaving, the rain mixing with the sweat on his brow. "I can't do this anymore," he says, louder now, his voice breaking, a shout to the alley, to the city, to the shadow in the glass. He's angry at the industry that demands perfection, at the fans who don't show up, at himself for believing he could be more than the dust he came from. He's tired of the pain in his shoulder, of the weight on his mind, of the rage that burns hotter with every failure. In Suchwita, he'd later say, "I hated everything. I didn't even want to make music anymore." That hatred, that exhaustion, is a shadow that looms larger than ever tonight, threatening to swallow him whole. Yoongi slides down the wall, the mirror forgotten, and sits on the wet pavement, the rain soaking through his jeans, the cold biting into his skin. His hands tremble as he pulls his notebook from his bag, a battered thing, its pages swollen from the damp, its cover fraying at the edges. He flips it open, the ink smudged but legible, and finds the lyrics he'd written months ago before the darkness grew too heavy. "I'm the ash you left to burn." They're the same words he'd spat at the audition, the same words that carried him through the dorm's lonely nights. But tonight, they feel hollow, a promise he can't keep. He tears the page out, the paper ripping with a sound that cuts through the rain, and lets it fall, the ink bleeding into the puddle at his feet, a dream dissolving in the storm. He thinks of quitting, not just tonight, but for good. He could go back to Daegu, face his father's "I told you so," take a job at the market, stack crates until his shoulder gives out completely. He could leave the mic behind, the rap, the dream that's breaking him piece by piece. The thought is a relief, a weight lifted, but it's also a knife, a betrayal of the boy who fought so hard to get here, the boy who turned coins into beats, scars into rhymes. He buries his face in his hands, the rain running down his wrists, and lets the despair take over, a bitter memory forming, the darkest night of his career, a moment when Suga almost ceased to be. But then a sound cuts through the rain, a faint beat, a rhythm he knows, a ghost of a song he'd heard in Daegu, in the ciphers where he'd been gloss. It's not real, not out here, but it's in his head. A kick drum that thumps like a heartbeat, a snare that snaps like a whip. He lifts his head, the rain blurring his vision, and listens, the beat growing louder, stronger, a lifeline in the dark. It's Epic High's Fly, a track that had saved him at 13, a track that had whispered, "You can do this, you can rise." He'd forgotten it, buried it under the rage, but it's here now. A memory that fights back against the shadow in the glass. A memory that refuses to let him go. Yoongi stands, the beat still echoing in his mind, and picks up the torn page, its edges sodden but salvageable. He smooths it against his knee, the ink a mess, but the words still there. Rising up to choke your turn. They're his, born from the dust, from the crash, from every bitter memory that's tried to break him, and they're not done yet. He pockets the page, the coins in his bag, a reminder of the cost, and looks at the mirror one last time. The shadow is still there, but it's smaller now, a flicker in the glass, a challenge he's not ready to lose. "Not yet," he mutters, voice steady, A promise to himself, to the rapper he's still becoming, to the fans he doesn't know he'll have. He walks back into the rain, the beat in his head, a fire that warms him, a fire that will burn through the darkness, a fire that will one day light the world. That night, he doesn't quit. He writes, pouring the rage, the despair, the shadow into lyrics that will become the last, a track that will bear his soul to the world, a track that will prove he never gave up. The mirror in the alley stays behind, a cracked witness to his darkest night, a bitter memory that didn't break him but built him, a memory that will echo in every verse he spits. July 2025, Seoul Stadium. Suga stands before 70,000 fans, his mic a torch, his voice a blaze that tears through the night. "I'm the ash you left to burn," he raps, the line reborn from that rain-soaked alley, now a war cry that shakes the heavens, and army roars it back, their pride a storm that could move mountains. They don't know the mirror, the rain, the shadow that almost swallowed him whole, but they feel it in his growl, in the fire that burns in every word, in the soul that's turned darkness into light. That night in 2014 wasn't the end. It was the forge, a bitter memory that shaped the rapper they adore, a man who stared into the abyss and spat back rhymes, a man whose scars are their pride. The stadium glows with purple lights, a galaxy of love, and Suga stands taller, the shadow in the glass a distant memory, the fire in his soul, a beacon that burns brighter for them all.